They say water cleans things. But on that blazing afternoon, it was used like a weapon, cold, humiliating, meant to wash away dignity instead of dirt. No one expected the soaked woman to stand her ground. And absolutely no one expected what she would pull from her bag seconds later, because there was one thing the officer never noticed, and it would dismantle his entire career. The sun hung heavy over the cracked pavement of Rivergate Plaza. Heat shimmered off rusted metal rails, and the smell of gasoline mixed with melting asphalt. People moved slowly, exhausted by the oppressive temperature and the tension that always seemed to linger when uniforms showed up uninvited. Officer Trent Mallory leaned casually against his patrol car, spinning a hose nozzle like a toy. His laughter echoed, sharp, careless. Across the street stood a quiet woman in a faded blue dress, unloading bottled water from her trunk for the homeless. Her posture was calm. Her eyes steady. Her movements precise. Then the spray hit her. Cold water slammed into her chest, soaking her clothes instantly. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone dropped a grocery bag. Phones began to rise. She didn't scream. Didn't run. She simply blinked, wiped her face, and looked directly at him, like she knew something he didn't. I remember thinking, this should break her spirit. But instead, she reached slowly into her bag. And what she pulled out wasn't anger. It wasn't fear. It was something far more dangerous. Because that moment, that frozen, dripping silence, was the exact second his power started slipping away. What they didn't see was the discipline behind her movements, military precision hidden under gentle gestures. She stacked supplies in perfect rows, checked expiration dates with surgical focus, and documented every distribution in a small leather notebook. That notebook sat inside a worn canvas bag. A bag no one looked twice at. If only someone had. The plaza itself felt like a character, graffiti-covered walls, broken benches, flickering streetlights even during daylight. The broken AC units in nearby stores hummed like dying insects, echoing a system that barely worked for the people who needed it most. That morning began normally. Children laughed as they filled cups with cold juice. An elderly man thanked Amara with trembling hands. A stray dog curled beneath a shaded bench. Calm before the storm. But tension lingered like humidity in the air. A police cruiser rolled slowly past twice. Windows down. Music blasting. Officers watching. Amara noticed, but said nothing. She did something that would change everything, but not yet. She checked her phone discreetly. Sent a quick message. Then returned to handing out supplies. Her internal thoughts stayed steady, stay focused. Document everything. Let actions speak. Around noon, as heat intensified, she began unloading extra water bottles from her trunk. Sweat dampened her back. The smell of overheated metal filled the air. A group of teenagers whispered nearby. Why is she so calm all the time? One asked. Because calm was her armor. Because years earlier, discipline had been burned into her through experiences no one here knew about. Experiences that taught her never to react emotionally when authority tried to provoke. Inside her bag sat more than a notebook. There were items carefully placed, tools she carried everywhere. Tools that had ended careers before. But the crowd didn't know that. And neither did Officer Mallory. His patrol car turned the corner again. Engine roaring louder this time. Tires crunching gravel like warning drums. Foreshadowing hung thick in the air. If only he had looked closer, at the small embroidered patch on her bag, at the way she scanned exits instinctively, at the faint military-style ribbon sewn discreetly inside her jacket. But he didn't. And that ignorance would cost him everything. Officer Trent Mallory stepped out of his cruiser with exaggerated swagger. His uniform looked crisp, sunglasses reflecting the blazing sun. A smirk stretched across his face like he owned the entire block. Looks like a party, he said loudly, scanning the volunteers. Who gave permission for this? Amara turned calmly. We filed the permits last week. Paperwork's posted on the board. He didn't even glance at it. Antagonist, you think you run this place? Protagonist, no, officer. Just helping people stay hydrated. Antagonist, helping or causing trouble? Protagonist, we're within city guidelines. Witnesses shifted uncomfortably. Phones hovered discreetly. He circled her slowly, eyeing her clothes. You think you're special? She met his gaze. No. Just prepared. That was mistake number one. The second was even worse, and he was about to make it. Mallory grabbed a hose from a nearby maintenance truck. Twirled it playfully. Maybe this place needs cleaning. Laughter from his partner. Nervous chuckles from bystanders. Cold water exploded outward, drenching Amara completely. The force knocked bottles from her hands. The crowd gasped, sharp, collective inhalation. I felt my hands tremble watching, but she didn't move. Antagonist, maybe now you'll pack up. Protagonist, officer, that's unnecessary. Antagonist, unnecessary? I call it crowd control. Protagonist, you're being recorded. He laughed louder. Good. I look great on camera. 3 escalating abuses followed. He sprayed volunteers trying to help her. He kicked over crates of water. He threatened citations for loitering. She remained composed. Each action quietly documented. Her phone resting on a crate, camera rolling. Witnesses whispering. Short sentences filled the air. She wasn't yelling. Wasn't resisting. Wasn't doing anything wrong. Yet the abuse escalated. He leaned close, cheap cologne sharp in the heat. Pack it up, sweetheart. Or things get worse. Her voice stayed level. Please stop. Internally she thought, he has no idea what he's stepping into. Curiosity loop tightened. That's mistake number 1, she whispered to a nearby volunteer. The second is coming. And it did. He turned the hose directly onto her face again, longer this time. Deliberate. Humiliating. The crowd's discomfort grew heavy, almost physical. Someone muttered, "This isn't right." Phones came out openly now. Mallory's arrogance swelled. See? Nobody's going to stop me. But behind the scenes, something had already started moving. While water dripped from her hair, Amara's mind stayed razor sharp. What Officer Mallory didn't know was that she had spent 12 years as a military intelligence officer specializing in internal investigations. She had documented war crimes. Exposed corruption rings. Built airtight legal cases using nothing but patience and procedure. Flashback, desert heat, tactical gear, a commander saying, evidence beats emotion every time. Back to present. Her phone vibrated subtly. A prearranged contact acknowledged the incident live. Because yes, she had already activated a legal documentation protocol the moment he approached. Parallel thread B, Mallory's past. Earlier victims appeared in quick cuts, citations dismissed, complaints ignored, supervisors looking the other way. Body cam footage buried. Internal affairs warnings brushed aside. Thread C, evidence gathering. She sent emails. Uploaded clips. Called a civil rights attorney on speaker, quiet enough that he didn't notice. Mini cliffhanger, then she made one call. Everything shifted. Dramatic irony thickened. While he mocked her soaked clothes, her phone streamed live to oversight agencies. While he laughed, paperwork for emergency review began filing automatically. Internal thoughts flooded her mind, stay calm. Let him finish digging his hole. Witnesses approached quietly offering statements. A teenager whispered, "I've got video from the start." She nodded. The ticking clock began. She had 48 hours to submit formal charges, but she was already halfway done. Sensory details intensified, the heavy scent of wet asphalt, the sticky heat clinging to skin, the echo of dripping water hitting concrete like a countdown. At this point, the audience knows everything. But Mallory doesn't. And that dramatic irony makes every second heavier. Then she reached into her bag, and touched something small and metallic. Not yet. Because the reveal had to be public. 3 days later, a press conference filled City Hall's glass atrium. Cool air blasted from vents, contrasting sharply with the scorching day of the incident. Cameras flashed. Officials stood shoulder to shoulder. Officer Mallory walked in confident, smirking, believing he was there for a routine complaint review. Then the doors opened. Amara entered wearing a tailored dark suit. Her posture military straight. Her presence calm but commanding. Gasps rippled through the room. She placed a leather folder on the podium. Removed a business card. "Special Investigator Amara Cole," she said calmly. "Department of Civil Rights Oversight." Confusion crossed his face. "Wait, what?" Credentials followed, federal clearance badge, signed investigative warrants, letters from oversight committees. His reaction unfolded in stages. Confusion, disbelief, panic, backpedaling, desperation. Antagonist, "I didn't know." Protagonist, "You didn't need to." Antagonist, "This is a misunderstanding." Protagonist, "Your actions are documented." Antagonist, "You think you're special?" Protagonist, "No. I think accountability applies to everyone." Recording played aloud. His own laughter echoed through speakers. The sound of the hose blasting. The crowd gasped again, this time in outrage. Witnesses stepped forward. Attorneys nodded. Cameras zoomed in on his pale face. Mic drop moment, "That badge isn't a free pass, it's a responsibility you failed." Phones rang. Supervisors whispered urgently. Public humiliation unfolded live. He began to stammer apologies, but evidence kept coming. Emails. Reports. Previous complaints resurfaced. The power dynamic flipped completely. Within hours, suspension announced. Within days, termination. Federal investigation launched. Civil rights charges filed. Media coverage exploded. Viral videos spread worldwide. Community leaders demanded reform. Other victims came forward, stories echoing the same pattern of abuse. Policy changes rolled out. Mandatory body cam activation. Civil rights training. Independent oversight board. Mallory faced court hearings, fines, and public disgrace. No quiet exit. No hidden apology. Witnesses watched as he walked past reporters in silence. Meanwhile, Amara received letters of gratitude. Volunteers felt validated. Donations flooded the community center. 3 months later, the plaza installed cooling stations and permanent aid programs. Because one person refused to stay silent. Months later, Amara stood before a class of new recruits in a training auditorium. Cool air smelled of fresh paint and coffee. Rows of young officers listened intently. "When I was sprayed that day," she began calmly, "I felt humiliation. Anger. Fear. But I also felt clarity." She paced slowly. "Real power isn't loud. It's disciplined. Documentation beats confrontation. Procedure beats emotion." She described the journey, not to shame individuals, but to teach systemic change. Every time someone abuses authority, they're counting on silence. Don't give it to them. Record. Report. Reform. Faces in the audience softened. Some nodded thoughtfully. Closing image, the same plaza now vibrant, children playing under shade tents, volunteers working openly without fear. Her final line echoed through the room. Justice delayed is painful, but justice documented is inevitable. Learn the rules. Use them with dignity. And make sure power always serves the people, not itself. The applause that followed wasn't just for her. It was for every voice that learned to stand calm, and fight smart.